What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel and to another Elden Ring video. Now Spirit Ashes in Elden Ring come in two different flavors, from generic summons like the wolves to renowned Spirit Ashes, which are some of the stronger ones in the game and oftentimes represent some bosses that you fought in the game already. Now these are definitely ones that you want to keep an eye out for, because some of them are super useful and can mean the difference between a difficult boss fight and an easy boss fight. Now I've tested all of these for you, with the exception of two ones which are story dependent, the Dung Eater and Nefali Lu, and then also one which is kind of unclear at the moment right now how to get, and that is of course Banished Knight Engal. So except for that, we have 19 including Mimic Tear in the testing today, so that you can see which one is best and that you know which one to spend your hard-earned mats on, so you don't waste any Glovewort. So just to get something out of the way, and if you are only ever interested in leveling up only one summon, absolutely Mimic Tear or Tear, depending on how you want to pronounce it, is the best in the game bar none. That's simply due to the fact that even after you've already used all of the Glovewort on it and it's already plus 10, it can actually still increase in power, because that is directly related to your character's power, since it is a copy of your character. So any of the broken weapons that your character have equipped will be on this summon as well, and all of your stats and all of your power will be transferred to this as well. Even any buffs or anything that you have on there will be also on this, and that's why Mimic Tear outperforms any other summon in the game. So again, like I said, if you are only planning on leveling up one and you only have enough mats for one summon to take it to plus 10, absolutely make it Mimic Tear. You won't look back. It is ridiculously powerful. Now, who this video is for people that maybe want to try other summons and think that there are other ones that are comparable in power level or that might be good as well. Or God forbid, if Mimic Tear gets nerfed or gets changed or something like that and is not as powerful. Also at the same time, maybe you're just in a mood for something a little bit different, and that's where this list might surprise you. Now the parameters for this experiment, for this test, was that I tested all of the summons against Tree Sentinel in New Game Plus 1. In other words, the first New Game Plus after finishing the original playthrough of the game. All of the summons are leveled up to plus 9, and one or two of them are to plus 10, but in my testing on the difference between plus 9 and plus 10, there wasn't that big a difference. So basically, if a summon is good at plus 9, it's probably going to be good at plus 10, and likewise, if it's not that great at plus 9, plus 10 isn't suddenly going to make it kick a lot of ass. Now the reason why I chose Tree Sentinel is simply because Tree Sentinel is very indicative of a lot of the bosses that you fight in the game. He's bulky, he's a bully, he does decent damage, hyper aggressive, and he's kind of fast. So if your summon fares well against Tree Sentinel, then generally speaking the summon will be good against, let's say, the majority of the boss encounters that you'll fight in the game. Now last but not least, I let the summons fight him alone. I don't help out at all, and I kind of hide in the shadows. I don't poke the enemy, I don't buff the summons, I don't get their attention, and I generally try to get all of the aggro to stay on the summon so that we can see how it deals with the boss by itself. Now starting us off in what I'd like to call the weak category, aka summons that you shouldn't be spending any mats on because there are better ones out there, is definitely Stormhawk Deenh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Perfumer Tricia, the Jarwight, Fallen Perfumer Carmaan, Dolores the Sleeping Arrow, Latenna the Albinauric, Redmane Knight Ogha, Cleanrot Knight Finlay, and Battlemage Hugues. Now the problem with all of these are basically it's a mixture of things, right? Some of them are very flimsy, in other words they have very low poise, so they keep getting knocked down. Now again, Tree Sentinel is a hell of a bully and is constantly jumping and doing large amounts of knockdown damage on them. But nonetheless, the point is, once these are knocked down, they can't deal any damage. They also take additional damage from slams and things like that. And so this is really the problem with them. The other reason why they're not really performing that well is probably to do with either not having a good mixture of attacks or not being very aggressive, aka they can't hold the boss's aggro, and so that becomes a problem. Now in doing these tests, basically I realized what the perfect sort of mixture of qualities would result in a good summon and what you can actually depend on as a good partner for you against bosses. Basically, what helps is that if the summon has strong poise and can resist knockdowns and can push their abilities through things that would cause them damage and knock them out of the animation or knock them out of the attack, multiple options for, you know, attack ranges, so being able to deal damage in a close range very well, but also even if it's far away from the boss, having an option to essentially aggro them, shoot them with something, hit them with a spell, you know, anything like that. Thirdly, really, it needs to be an aggressive summon as well, because if they're not holding the boss's aggro, the boss will turn to you. And a lot of the times, one of the reasons why you want the summon out is because you want the summon to take the boss's attention off you, so that you can prime your abilities and that you can get your combo off or anything that you want to do. And then last but not least, that really does help if the summon has some form of like status or some form of like effect that it can also push onto the boss or basically give to you. Now, the more of these things that a summon has, basically produces a better summon. So if you have a summon that ticks all of these boxes, then you pretty much have a summon that's going to kick a lot of ass. The next category for me is has potential under the right circumstances, and this is an important category, and the reason why I included it is that we are having these summons fight against Tree Sentinel, and Tree Sentinel is a fairly aggressive boss, and while he is indicative of a lot of the bosses that we see in this game, not every encounter works out this way. So these summons in this category do still perform generally quite well, and if you have spare material and you want to try out something different, these are some good candidates for that. The ones I'm talking about are Banished Knight Oleg, Blackflame Monk Amon, Bloodhound Knight Floh, Lhutel the Headless, and Nightmaiden and Swordstress. Now, all of these perform fairly well, and given the right set of circumstances within an engagement, can actually be quite effective, whether it is dealing with a lot of enemies at once, causing the boss to essentially chase them all over the place because they maintain aggro relatively well, or just in general becoming like a good assistant to your damage and allowing you both to take the boss down with relative ease. Then we get to what I consider the really strong category, and here we have two potential candidates. We have Blackflame Tiche and we have Omenkiller Rollo. Now, I featured Omenkiller Rollo before on my channel. I'm really impressed by this summon. It essentially is a bruiser itself, dealing damage with two big heavy weapons while having insane poise and being almost impossible to stop, you know, its attacks, to knock it back. So this is very effective, and as you can see in the footage in the background, it really is giving Tree Sentinel a run for its money. So if you were to help out here, if you yourself were also playing a bruiser, melee, or perhaps a spellcaster, you would be putting so much damage on the enemy that I'm sure you would be able to kill it really fast. Blackflame Tiche is also super interesting because it has a very crazy moveset and how it moves around the boss, so it's extremely good at avoiding damage, and as you can see in the footage here, gets relatively close to actually almost dropping Tree Sentinel again by itself. And this is largely due to the fact that Blackflame Tiche triggers bleed effects on bosses and is actually fairly good at triggering those and getting them to proc often. So this is the dagger that he throws, and it's really, really, really impressive to see the damage rolling in from that. Now, if you were to combine that with yourself, for instance, also playing a bleed build, again, I think the results would be super impressive. So both of these, Omenkiller Rollo and Blackflame Tiche, are good candidates for you to spend your materials on and definitely to level up, and both of them offer kind of like a different package to, you know, supporting, with Black Knife being more like a roguey kind of character, and where you will probably still end up getting a lot of the aggro on you, where he'll be doing a lot of DPS, whereas Omenkiller Rollo is exactly the opposite of that, and Omenkiller Rollo is such a bully and so in the face of the enemy that you will essentially be able to stand in the back and just lob spells if you're like a spellcaster, for instance. That leaves us with the last two of the 19 renowned Spirit Ashes that we're going to look at. That is Finger Maiden Therolina on the one side and Ancient Dragon Knight Kristoff. Now let's leave Kristoff until the end, but Therolina is a unique one. In the footage that you're seeing in the background here, you can notice that Therolina's main feature is that she does an AoE heal. And I actually continued on with this fight for about 12 minutes before I just said fuck it and actually just noped out. So while this summon does virtually almost no damage, it has insane heal potential and kept myself and it topped up against the Tree Sentinel's assault. the Tree Sentinel could not kill this summon in 12 minutes, and consequently even long after I ran out of potions of just healing myself on the side with accurate movement and making sure that I'm always around and inside those AoE heals, I could also stay alive indefinitely. So if that's something that you're interested in, a summon that does literally no damage but has insane heal potential as long as you're sure to be close to those AoEs, then definitely Therolina is the one for you. Although personally for me, I think this is a super weak summon. That finally brings us to the man of the hour and the renowned Spirit Ash, except for Mimic Tear, that I think is the best in the game. That is Ancient Dragon Knight Kristoff. Now, out of all of the ones that I tested, not only is the move set and the skill set and the abilities of Kristoff impressive, or the most impressive, but this was also the only one that was able to successfully, individually, on its own, drop Tree Sentinel. So without any help from myself, and even though there was only a sliver of life between the two of them, Kristoff was able to finish the fight, seal the deal, and actually take care of Tree Sentinel. Now, this is due to the fact that Kristoff has a great moveset, has a fantastic long-range lightning bolt that it can pull down on enemies, but also this spear attack and high poise, so able to block enemies, push them with the shield, and basically get them with the spear. So this is absolutely, if you are looking for a summon other than Mimic Tear that you want to put your Glovewort into and you want to get to +10, I cannot recommend Kristoff enough. The summon is a beast and deals a shitload of damage. So if you were to actually help out, whether you're casting spells or whether you yourself are a bruiser as well and in the fight with them, you are going to make short work of most bosses in this game just due to the pressure that you can put on them with yourself and Kristoff. So that's it for the video. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. The idea here, like I said, was primarily to save you from wasting your upgrade material, especially those very rare +10 Gloveworts on a summon that ends up not being that great, even though you thought it might be at earlier levels. Let me know in the comments down below if I have misjudged your favorite summon, and if you disagree with me on any of these ones, or if you have a suggestion of one that I might have missed. I think I've gotten the entire list, and I did a whole bunch of research to make sure that I didn't miss any. So the 19 that I represented here, plus the 3 that I mentioned at the beginning that I haven't obtained yet through either not having them in my playthrough or them actually not being available in the game, I think that gives us the whole picture. But thank you so much for watching, and it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, a great afternoon, and a super awesome evening wherever you are in the world. Until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.